connection and opportunity. All in one place. Come join the community. So text it now, don't wait in line. Fight for life. 949298290. That's 9492980.
They discovered it, they read it, and they applied it. It's the golden thread that connects the titans of the self-development industry, the source that spawned millions of millionaires, the original blueprint to success.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic. A classic.
And I love Think and Grow Rich. I love it. It's right here. I mean, it's one of my favorite books of all time.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
This material is what changed my life. This is the material I study every day. From being an immigrant woman, coming from poverty, and really coming to America and literally achieving the American dream. I can't even tell you how grateful I am for this man, for what he did for me and my family.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
People don't realize is that when we let our ego get in our way, ego is the loss, the fear of loss. So need to be right, the need to be offended, the need to be hurt, fearful. When that trajectory changes, what happens is you continually go the wrong way. So my job as a coach is to say, let's get into the enjoyment of the direct pursuit of my potential. Right? And so when the light went on, it was not about the potential of making money and being an entrepreneur, which is one of my specialties. And I said to him, look, this is an opportunity now to show how great you really are. We can't let the outside voices, right, determine our success. The happiness that we have comes within. Why are you going to give that control to somebody else?
Thoughts become things. And I always wonder, why did no one teach us this? Why did we not learn this in school? Why did we not learn this from our families? If you make your study a priority, your life will change.
And I came up with 4 really valuable things that I took stock in. And the first one was gratitude. Simple gratitude. Although I grew up with nothing, I was always grateful. Throughout the whole process of consistently, persistently pursuing my potential, I was grateful. It made my past better, my present brighter, and my future even brighter than that. In fact, I tell people all the time, if you want to change your life, change your employee's life, your family life, it's very simple. 2 words, say thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Napoleon Hill Institute weekly training. I'm going to be joined by an incredible co-host waiting in the wings. But before I bring the amazing Blaine Bartlett on board, that's BlaineBartlett.com. Today's lesson is about dreamers versus builders. And there's a distinction between the two in the context of Napoleon Hill especially. And we are blessed to give you all the exercises, guides, and my book for free. Just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. David means beloved. D is my first initial. Meltzer means waiter or servant. So let me be your beloved servant, david@dmeltzer.com. Just a quick review where you can see us in person. We will be at SoFi Stadium twice in the next week. So come and join us in LA at SoFi Stadium. Meet up holding court, interviews, VIP dinners for charity. We even have a longevity mastermind. Get your stem cell injections. Don't pay $50,000 to go to Costa Rica. Come and join us at SoFi Stadium. Then we'll be in Madison, Wisconsin. Meet up holding court in VIP dinner. Come and join us there. In Atlantis, in Nassau, the Bahamas. Come and join us. Then to Atlanta, Chicago, Las Vegas, Austin, Texas. I don't know why Gigi doesn't have Chicago in there. We'll be at the restaurant show, all with the car wash, meet up, holding court, VIP dinner. That's right. For charity, we support the Unstoppable Foundation as well as the Napoleon Hill Foundation. But come and join us. We had a fabulous Office Hours Season 10. Come and join us again for Season 10. Those are them. If you want to stay informed, want to stay invited, just text us. Hopefully Gigi was playing the new music, the new jingle before the Napoleon Hill. She says thumbs up. I don't know how to sing, but it was area code 949-298-2905. That's area code 2949. Sorry. Area code 949. The next three numbers, 298, last four numbers, 2905. Be informed and invited, not obligated, over 200 cities a year. And we are blessed. Let me bring on the incredible Blaine Bartlett, blainebartlett.com, so we can get going on the Dreamers versus Builders training. Welcome, Blaine, to Napoleon Hill Institute training.
I am so happy to be here, truly. And I want to just kind of give a shout out to you for some of the work that you're doing, not only with the foundation and Napoleon Hill Institute, but also with the Unstoppable Foundation. You are just an exemplar of what it means to be a giver in life and a dreamer that executes.
Well, as my mentor, for the sake of all of those people that are involved in Unstoppable, and the literally millions that we've been able to impact through the leadership of Cynthia Kersey, wrote the book Unstoppable Women, the amazing mentor of mine who taught me the infinite loop of giving to allow other people to be able and capable of helping others so they can be closest to God, so they can be at their highest self. And that was a lesson that I learned through my mentor, Cynthia Kersey. And if you have any inclination to support us, we certainly are doing great work for over 20 years at the Unstoppable Foundation. Talking about dreams, though, and a dream that Cynthia had over 20 years ago to empower others and to not forget the young women she had met in Kenya. We all have these dreams. Their ideas are not the problem. There's millions of great ideas. But I have really dedicated my life and through the efforts of Napoleon Hill Institute about execution. And execution is the problem. Information, materialization, and monetization, the man-made constructs of the outcomes of execution. There seems to be this gap between where we are and where we want to be that creates by what we do, not just by what we imagine. And this idea of intention, whether it be Wayne Dyer or the Xanders or, of course, Napoleon Hill, to understand what we can conceive and imagine we can achieve, but only with intention, with what we do, say, think, feel, and believe. And we all have had these great ideas that excited us in the moment, but whether it was days, weeks, or months later, or even years, they're still just ideas. And it's because we weren't intentional. We didn't take a definiteness of purpose. We didn't put together a go, no go plan on what we're going to do, say, think, feel, and believe in this divine direction. And definitely didn't take the time to give the relativity and meaning for the sake of what are we going to do it. In this training, we will show how dreaming creates the vision, but building creates the results. And the difference is not intelligence or intuition or inspiration or talent or even resources, but it's execution. And so I'm going to start, Blaine, with the first lesson in this idea of dreamers versus builders, with what do you perceive as the difference of having this belief, this vision without execution? And this happens every day in our personal and professional lives of what we want to become. But without execution, they just remain dreams and there are no results. Where do you see the biggest difference between the dreamers and those that are the builders?
Two things. Yeah, number one, and this is the number one piece. You've got to do the do. I mean, just period, the end. Yeah. And this is where I think professionals, and I'll use the word in a broad sense, your professionals separate themselves from amateurs. Amateurs are going to be looking at the clock at 6 a.m. in the morning going, well, maybe 30 more minutes. They'll hit the snooze alarm. Professionals are going to go, this is what I said I wanted. This is where I said I'm going. The alarm has gone off. It is time to move. It's time to do the do. And it's that mindset that makes the difference. It's not just the dream itself. The dream is, like you're saying, everybody has dreams. Everybody has ideas. They're manifested when somebody has actually stepped into the harness and started doing the pull.
It's so true. And, one of the things too is, I think, within the realm of definiteness of purpose, of inspiration, of the common denominator of successful people that have a desire that they must be what they can be are, in my opinion, the people that really do the do are the people that wake up before their alarm because they're so excited to do the do. Yeah. And, to me, those are the empty milers. And there's a whole nother level of and doing the do and prioritizing correctly, there has to be a system. And for me, understanding the dependent variable of time and being very consistent in how I do the do and what I'm doing with my time. Because today, especially in this, monkey brain world of short-term stimuli, it's quite easy to get distracted. I use the student of the calendar with non-negotiable, negotiable behavior, categorization of divine direction and interference. Is there some mechanism or methodology that you use to make sure that you're doing the do and not just thinking the think?
Well, you mentioned student of the calendar. I have been working with my calendar for probably 40 years. I mean, truly. I know that what goes on the calendar is actually something that's going to get attended to. If it doesn't go on the calendar, it doesn't get attended to. It will tend to fall off. Now, it doesn't mean that it doesn't sometimes happen because I've got some white space there that I can fill up. But if it's on the calendar, that, it's a non-negotiable. And I'm very clear that I do not put something on the calendar that I'm not willing to follow through with. So, yeah, you can call it
when circumstances arise that you can't follow through. Do you have a methodology or a system for reprioritizing, pre-prioritizing, post-prioritizing? What do you do when circumstantially you've dedicated time to something, but lo and behold, something occurs, family or health, that takes priority over that financial plan that you had?
It gets rescheduled as soon as possible. It doesn't fall away. It gets rescheduled because if it
immediately.
got on
And
the calendar in the first
understanding where
place,
that blank, yeah, and understanding where those parking places are allows you to do that. So I always say study the unplanned time as much as you study your plan time, because if you do come up with a well-developed plan, God will laugh at you.
boy, is that true. Yep. Yeah. So to that point, I do build in white space as a contingency. I mean,
Nice.
I do have that in play, and I'll block it out on my calendar so that I can actually pull it out if I need to.
Yeah, that's like having a parking place at Costco at noon on a Saturday.
Good one.
And I tell people, if you don't have white space, then you don't have a parking place at noon on a Saturday. And that's how much time it saves you. Because anybody that goes to Costco at noon on a Saturday knows how much time it would save them if they had a parking place in the very front of Costco available to them for prioritized parking. That's exactly what the white space is. It's prioritized parking that allows people to move forward. If anybody would like this student of the calendar exercise, I'd be happy to give that to them. All they got to do is email me, David means beloved, at D first initial, Meltzer means servant. Let me be your beloved servant, and send you the student of the calendar guide exercises and books. Just email me, David at dmeltzer.com. Moving on to lesson number 2 is, it's one thing to go ahead and do the do, but if we don't know what we want, then the do may be in alignment with something that we don't want instead of something we do. So without definiteness of purpose, if you haven't read, of course, the Outwitting the Devil, we drift, and dreamers stay vague, while builders are definite in their purpose. They know exactly what they want, who they can help, and who can help them, utilizing the student of the calendar to be how, and then prioritizing. We want success or growth, but we don't define what it actually looks like with measurable terms. We're not going to get there. You are the king of helping people not drift. What are some of the things that we can do to create a definiteness of purpose so we can apply our why instead of searching for dreams?
It's been my experience that most people are far more clear about what they don't want than what they do want. And
So good.
So being able to clarify this to the point of this particular lesson, I run a mastermind. It's a year-long mastermind. We right now are in the middle of a full month specifically focused on the topic of clarity, being clear about what's in play, being clear about what I want. So a couple of components that come into play with that have to do with inner talking. Partly it has to do with how I voice what it is that I'm after so that I can actually get people to work with me in the process. But more than anything, it is anchored in something that you and I both will talk about. It's called the for the sake of what. It's one thing to have a dream, but if it's not rooted in a meaningful for the sake of what does this make possible? What do I get to have, do, or be that I wouldn't get to have, do, or be if this wasn't on my radar? So it's the clarity around that have, do, be. It's that clarity around the for the sake of what matters. Because if I'm not clear about what matters, it's real easy to drift.
So easy to drift when we don't have some sort of framework to know our divine direction and align the meaning of the past in that as well. And clarity provides a bigger spectrum and a stronger signal to access the information that's necessary, the monetization, the materialization. And so when we define things, the only caveat, which I used to get into deep conversations with Bob Proctor, our mentor, you're a really close friend. He was very, very insistent about having and defining exactly what we wanted specific terms, especially time. When we say I want, $1 million and 36 cents by December 22nd at noon, this actually creates resistance, in my opinion. I would rather say I want to double the amount of money I make as fast as I can, or I would like specifically this or better. I think there's a realm of infinite humility that I may not know what I don't know. And so this specificity and clarity can be in a trajectory where I'm allowing still provide me better than or different than and better than, trusting with faith the protection, promotion, love, and perfection of the infinite, the source, and become a better resource. So any feelings about, I know we share that mentorship with Bob. I know he was a big proponent of specificity. Which school of thought do you prefer? One of exact specificity or more an open-minded trajectory and humility-based acceleration of progress in pursuit of that?
My preference is not to constrain the universe. And when I get too specific, now I've given instructions to the universe that it has to fit in this container. And if the universe has got more than will fit in that container, I don't get access to it, which is why I actually work with, for the sake of what, Matt, what's the experience that I'm seeking? Money, as an example here, is just a placeholder for an experience. So I want to experience abundance in my life in all of its manifest forms. That opens up a very interesting conversation with the universe. And there's a lot of room to play with that one.
Yeah. And if you would like the practice
as well. Thank you, everybody, for your patience here today. We have too much energy with today's training, which is the Dreamers versus Builders training, the edition of the Napoleon Hill Institute, led by its chairman, Mr. David Meltzer. He's having some connection issues, but we do have the double B, which is Blaine Bartlett. Of course, you can reach him at blainebartlett.com. Has been so gracious with his time to stick on here and do a little bit of Q&A with our community. So for everybody that is joining us online, as of course we are live on all platforms multicasting, if you have a question for Mr. Blaine today, go ahead and put it in the room chat. And of course, for everybody here in the Breakfast with Champions, the greatest room and community on Clubhouse, if you have a question for Mr. Blaine today, go ahead and use the hand icon to request to join the stage, and we will of course bring you up. And if you're in the audience but are unable to go live or request to join the stage, feel free to go ahead and put a question in the room chat, and I will be happy to pass the mic over your way. Now, without further ado, I see we got Blaine here live, both on Clubhouse as well as the webinar. I'm going to pass it over to Marianne for the first question of the day. So Marianne, it is always great to see you here. We appreciate you showing up and showing out as always. Why don't you unmute yourself and kick us off with the first question of the day?
Well, first of all, I love the topic because, for myself, I'm in a whole reinvention. And, the drip is hard. And I experienced, Blaine, in the drip and holding people accountable, and learning how to hold ourselves accountable and knowing what we want, like you were talking about, the what and the why. So in getting that clarity in the vision, it takes, I believe, is getting to know exactly what we want. And how do you suggest, people get to know that, as I am self-discovery again as well.
Marianne, it's good to hear your voice again.
Thank you.
How do I get to know what it is that I want? Well, yeah, the last book I wrote, it's the sixth book I've written, is called Stop Drifting, Start Living. And the idea in that has to do with becoming more and more aware that a lot of what we end up paying attention to and we actually find ourselves engaging in and targeting as goals and objectives are things that other people have told us we should have. The metrics of success in life oftentimes are other people's ideas of what success is supposed to be. And, that's informed by culture, it's informed by society, it's informed by religion, it's informed by just about anything. What we're looking for here, when we're looking at how do we stop drifting, is being able to tap into what is it that we would truly love. And I think that that's a key piece of this. What would I truly love? And that makes a big difference in terms of how I begin sorting the different things out in my life that I can pay attention to, because I'm going to be pulled in all kinds of different directions if I'm not having some sort of a sorting mechanism that allows me to prioritize and puts me in a position of being able to say no to things, even though the world of agreement and society in general says you should be paying attention to that. Oftentimes I shouldn't be paying attention to some of those things. I should actually, I'm going to take the word should here. I'm going to be more desire. I'm going to tap into desire when I start really paying attention to what would I love? What brings my soul, if I can use that word here, what brings my soul to life? And the soul of anything is the blueprint of what it can be and what it is and what it is, what's trying to be expressed. So that soul of myself, that soul of my business, that soul of life, that I'm a part of, gets covered up. It gets covered up, when we start, developing, awareness of we're in a relationship with mom and dad have expectations. We're in relationship with my boss, and my boss has expectations. And who I am, that blueprint of who I am, that unique being, that unique self that looks to be expressed, starts getting covered up. And it's not a zero-sum process. I have to live in the world. I have to engage with the society in which I'm a part. But I want to be able to do so with a mind to what would I love? What actually is wanting to be expressed to and through me? So I wish there was an easy answer to how I go about discovering that, Marianne. but it really is an iterative process. This is a living question. It's not one that actually calls for a specific, concrete now answer. I just kind of live into it and live from it. And as I live, it begins to morph. It begins to change over time.
So what I'm hearing you say is like consistent discernment.
Consistent discernment, and discernment in the context of what's working and not working for me in my life. Oftentimes what we'll do is when we're looking at what's going on in life, we will begin to view it from the lens of right and wrong, good and bad. And those are belief system informed assessments, and they are assessments. If I'm looking at specifically what's working and not working, by definition, I'm going to have a sense of what's important to me, what matters to me. And that type of discernment makes a difference.
Thank you so much.
You bet, Marianne.
Thank you so much, Marianne, for getting us started here with the Ask Me Anything and Q&A session with the double B. That's Blaine Bartlett. You can reach him at blainebartlett.com. For our next question of the day, as I know she's going to have to jump here in a few minutes, I want to pass it over to Allie. As you know, Mr. Blaine, Allie brings the best questions, so I want to kick it over to Allie. What are you curious about today, my dear?
Thank you, Nick.
Hey, Allie, good to hear your voice again.
You as well. So, great question from Marianne. So, kind of piggybacking off of that, just a little bit of a different spin, is how do you distinguish between being deeply devoted to your purpose and becoming unconsciously attached to a particular path? Both can feel like conviction, and what internal discernment allows you to know the difference?
So we start getting into a little bit of a metaphysical domain here. Metaphysical in the sense that, everything vibrates. There's frequencies to everything. And one of the things that I actually pay attention to, Allie, is resonance. And when I was speaking to Marianne about what would I love, there's a resonance to that. There is a frequency match that, in Buddhistic philosophy, there's a notion of, or actually more specifically Sufi, from some work out of Sufism, effortless efforting. There's things that I need to do. I have to do the do, as we talked about. But if I'm finding myself in struggling too much with it, I'm actually pushing the river, so to speak. I'm going to use a lot of metaphors here. But when things are in flow, think of it in terms of being on a river. When you're in the seam of the current, you don't have to do a lot of effort to keep the raft or the boat moving. It's when you start fighting the current that things get a little bit awkward, and sometimes you can even capsize the boat. So that is kind of what I pay attention to. The idea of flow, this whole notion of being in the flow, is essentially being resonant with what's wanting to be expressed in this moment. Matching that frequency. And the law of attraction basically is, it's a secondary law. The first law is the law of vibration. What's the frequency with which I'm actually vibrating? And if you think about frequency bands, on a frequency band, there are all kinds of things existing on that frequency band. And this is where the law of attraction comes in. Anything that's on that frequency band is accessible to me in an effortless manner. When I shift frequencies, what was unavailable in terms of either my awareness or actually even my access to it, where it would have been a struggle to reach it or get it, now becomes an effortless process because my frequency band has shifted. And in that shifting, it's a transformation. I move to a different level. I use the word level here because we have language that kind of insists on that. But in terms of frequency, everything's vibrating, and every frequency is connected to the ones up, above it and below it, so to speak, metaphorically. So I want to find a way in my life to have my life be as generative and as easy as it can be. And that doesn't mean that I don't have things that I need to do, obstacles and problems and that sort of stuff. But when I'm coming from that frequency, I have access to that which is consistent with the dream that I'm trying to manifest. Now, like I said, that was kind of a metaphysical overview, Ali, and I hope it was I hope it was useful just in terms of the abstraction. When being able to make that stuff concrete is really the part of the challenge.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Definitely a lot to continue digging into. I always appreciate your perspective. So
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome.
Beautiful. And for our next question of the day, I'm going to pass it over to another good friend of yours, which is Marco Antonio, Mr. Blaine. Marco, it is all yours, my friend. Why don't you unmute yourself and keep us rolling?
Hey, what's up, Blaine?
Hey, buddy. Good to hear your voice.
Likewise, brother. You know, today, the thing that was resonating with me on the topic of dreamer versus builder is this gap in execution. And one of the things I'm working on getting better at is learning how to take breaks and being okay with it. And can you speak to that? Maybe share what any lessons that you share with your clients on how to be okay with taking breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Because even sleep, I used to feel guilty about. Like I used to see it as a weakness.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, all I need is 5 and I'll keep going. But I realized that was actually hurting me more than helping me. So any advice on that would be great, Blaine. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And I kind of laugh a little bit here, Marco Antonio, because what you're describing is the great Western work ethic. And I was on a call with a client yesterday, actually. That's a part of my mastermind group. She's Italian, and she was looking forward to July and August. And I said, "Well, what's so interesting to you about July and August?" She says, "Well, we're going to take July and August off." And in Europe, that's just what they do. When I was doing a lot of work in Europe with Nokia, as an example here, the month of August was just gone in terms of being able to access people that were working in these countries in Central, in Europe, Germany, France, that sort of thing. And the idea there has to do with rehabilitation. What do you ever do any hiking?
Yeah, I love hiking. I love being outdoors.
Okay. So if you were taking a trek and all you did on an incline was continue hiking, you didn't stop and rest, how exhausted are you going to be, number one?
I'd be burnt.
You'd be burnt, absolutely. And are you going to be noticing the scenery around you?
I'd be more focused on the pain.
Yeah. So therein is the answer to the question. We are actually more productive when we have recuperation time. And using climbing as a metaphor, you have plateaus, and in that plateau we stop and rest, and we recalibrate, regain, and we can look around a little bit and see, okay, is there anything that has shown up that I wasn't noticing before that I can now leverage more effectively? And it's in that pause that we actually find ourselves able to be more productive, because now we can get back on the trail and we're re-energized, and we can actually start moving a whole lot better and a whole lot more efficient and a whole lot more effective. We lose efficiency when we're tired. We lose effectiveness when we let that tiredness become chronic. And this was, we can go back to Frederick Taylor back at the turn of the last century when we started looking at time and motion studies. Because I did a lot of work with an old company that's no longer existing called Bethlehem Steel, and they were the premier steel producing company in the world at one point in time. And when I was working with them, this goes back to the late 1970s. They had lost something like $3 billion that year, and that was big money back in the 1970s. It still is today. But one of the things that they had done early on in their history is they had done some time and motion studies with Frederick Douglass, and Frederick Taylor. And what they showed was that when people were loading, just give an example here, loading steel from an assembly area onto a truck, as an example, or into a rail car, as an example. The idea was, and initial idea was let's just have them work through, and the union started saying we need to take breaks, and the management was going, no, 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 we just need we need productivity. Breaks are going to interrupt our productivity. So Taylor did a little experiment, and he had one group just work on through. They took the regular lunch break, which is about a 30-minute break, but they didn't take breaks after that or before that. The experimental group, they could take breaks basically whenever they wanted. The experimental group actually loaded more tonnage than the group that was consistently loading without taking a break.
Okay.
So all of that to say is there's scientific evidence to show that recovery is an important part of being both efficient but also effective in what you're doing. You're gonna increase your productivity. Yeah, when I'm sitting at my desk, yeah, I'll do a 20-minute deep dive into something. And I mark it out at 30, literally half-hour increments. Yeah, 20 minutes, I'm going to just work on this. Sometimes I go over, sometimes I don't. But I'll get up from the desk at about the 20-minute mark and just take a walk. I'll go get, make a cup of coffee, get a cup of tea, go out on the deck, whatever it might be. Just change the scenery, a little break of state, and then come back in, and I'm ready to go again. And I find myself to be far more creative, far more productive when I'm doing that than when I'm not.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mr. Blaine. Marco had just texted me actually that he had to jump on a quick call, but he said he's going to catch the replay to make sure that he got every ounce of goodness that you are able to share. So we appreciate you. And just as a quick reset of the room here for everybody that's online, this is the Q&A session as a part of the Napoleon Hill Institute training with the double B. That is Blaine Bartlett. You can reach him at blainebartlett.com. And as we continue on with this Q&A for everybody that is online, please put your questions for Blaine into the room chat. And of course, everybody here in the Breakfast with Champions, if you have a question for Blaine today, go ahead and use the hand icon to join the stage from the audience. Or if you're, of course, already on stage and have a question for Blaine today, just put a quick note in the room chat, and I will be happy to pass the mic over your way. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Colleen for the next question of the day here live on Clubhouse. Colleen, it is all yours. Take the mic.
Thank you so much, Nick. Blaine, how are you? It's always great to hear your voice.
I'm doing great, Colleen. Thank you for being here.
I'm so excited to be here. So my question to you today is, what is the difference between a momentum and a conversation that feels productive? Is it beneficial to know the difference? And which one creates the most traction for what you're having?
Okay, I missed the very first part of your question, Colleen. Could you restate that?
No problem. Yeah, what's the difference between a conversation that creates momentum and one that feels productive? Is it important to know the difference, and which one is more beneficial?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's an interesting framing of that. Honestly, I think for me, and I haven't considered it in this way, but I think for me, just at first blush, I'm going to look at conversations that create momentum or sustain momentum more than anything else. They may create momentum, but I'm going to be also interested in sustaining momentum. I may get short bursts of productivity out of something, but at what cost? So it really begins to be a question of how do I frame what it is that I'm doing in the conversation that facilitates it keeping moving in a way that it produces what I want. Yeah, because it kind of goes to, as a leader, as an example here, I can get basically people to do all kinds of things if I got a big enough stick or a big enough pot of money, but it's a short-term bump. And the sustainability of the momentum goes away when the stick or the money is removed.
Right.
If I've got a generative conversation ongoing, that momentum continues, and I may not get the big bump that shows up as a spike of productivity or production, but I will have over time a much better outcome.
I love that. Thank you so much for that.
You bet.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Mr. Blaine, as always. And for the next question, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Gigi. Gigi, my dear, always great to see you here. Why don't you unmute yourself and keep us rolling?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
technology is not my friend today, obviously. So my question is, when something like this happens, and speaking about dreamers versus builders, like the first thing that came into my mind is I've been doing this for so long, and this just happened. And I recovered now, and also I have a great team that picked up as well. But it's like when something like you do something that you just want to perfect it, you're doing it great, then something like this happens. What would be your advice to me? I'm going to take advantage of this now.
To take it, and that the answer to your question is what you just stated there. Take advantage of this now. When things happen in life, we can either go, "Oh my God, this is horrible," and just and then we spend a lot of time, either beating ourselves up or making the situation wrong, arguing with reality. Arguing with reality seldom works well. It is what it is. So one of the things that you can do with this, Gigi, and I think that I know you well enough to know that you do this pretty well anyway. But it's what's the unexpected opportunity that this presents when it's gone off the rails? Okay, it's gone off the rails. What's the unexpected opportunity? What can I do with this? How can I actually leverage this? It is what it is. Let's harvest the good, forgive all the rest. That that whole meme actually comes into play with this. I cannot control external circumstances. Technological glitches occur. They just, that's it. Yeah. And to argue with reality, now I can go back and do a postmortem and say, okay, I want to be sure that this doesn't happen again. So what can I do to kind of do like I said, a postmortem, what worked, what didn't work, where did we go off the rails, what triggered it, that sort of stuff. But that's after the fact. In the moment, I want to continue, and this kind of goes to Colleen's question, actually. I want to continue the conversation with myself so that the momentum doesn't get stymied. So I don't find myself in my internal conversation blocking what needs to be done next. And that next thing could be a divergent path from what we were taking. So, we started the Q&A early. It works perfectly. What's the unexpected opportunity?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
That's the thing. The thing that got me out of it is I was like, tomorrow I'm getting my laptop to get checked and see what I can do, and if I need to buy a new one, I'm gonna. But the thing that got me, I was also having great connection. Like, thank you for that.
You bet. For your mental health, it really goes a long way to be able to go to the question, what's the unexpected opportunity here? Rather than, oh my God, this is horrible. And then you start, beating yourself up and going, it's awful. And what are they going to think of me? What am I going to think of me? And all that stuff. And that's not healthy for anybody.
Blaine, as we wrap up this incredible Q&A session, which of course myself, the entire team, and of course our community want to thank you for being so gracious with your time to be of service and join us for. The final question is actually going to come from Natalie, who's joining us on the webinar. And her question is, how do you reset if you stop trusting the process? I got a little bit of a chuckle myself as I was reading the question, because I know this is teeing you up with the greatest softball of all time to knock it out of the park. So, Mr. Blaine, close us out with the final answer of the day.
How do you reset if you stop trusting the process? Well, stop trusting the process. Honest to God, Natalie, this stuff works. It really does. When we stop trusting the process, essentially what's going on what's going on is we have in our mind a timeline that we think things should be occurring within. Now that's something that we made up. We literally said, okay, it has to happen in this framework. It has to happen with these conditions. It has to happen with this kind of a time. And the process will, if I've engaged the process, the process will do its work. But it will do its work in its own time, in its own way. And that's the part that I want to be able to trust, is that it will unfold. The meme that I work with a lot with my clients is whatever it is that we're targeting and looking to achieve here, it's already happened. I just haven't arrived yet. So we keep coming back to it's already happened. I just haven't arrived. So the process is one of arrival. It's not one of creation. And in the arriving, the manifestation is what occurs. So I want to trust that it's already everything that's ever been invented, everything that's ever been created in this universe has already been created, first as a thought and then in physical form. So if you can think about it, it's already created. Now it's just a question of how does it manifest itself? It's already there. I just haven't arrived. So I want to be able to trust that piece of it. The process itself is going to be whatever the process is. And there may be some skill, and some education. There may be some things that need to be learned in order to facilitate the process being more efficient and effective. But it's already happened. I just haven't arrived yet. When you can begin to trust that, then you can find ways to keep yourself moving. And this, again, Colleen, I've got to keep tipping my hat to you. This is I think that positioning of that conversation. I want to keep momentum going. And the momentum is predicated on the quality of the conversation. The momentum is predicated on the quality of the conversation. And if the quality of the conversation is such that momentum is continuously reinforced, you will end up having what it is that you're tracking for.
Beautiful. Thank you so, Mr. Blaine, for always being of service to our community here. And Natalie, Colleen, Marianne, Marco, Gigi, and everybody for the incredible questions today. As a reminder, if you guys would like to guide an exercise from today's training, the Dreamers versus Builders training, all you need to do is email David directly, david@dmeltzer.com. Once again, that is just david@dmeltzer.com. And Mr. Blaine, as a follow-up from today's Q&A session, I know everybody would love to get themselves some more of the double B, that is Blaine Bartlett. I know people can reach you at blainebartlett.com, but where else can people get in touch with you?
LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on the LinkedIn site. The Soul of Business with Blaine Bartlett podcast. I do a weekly podcast that goes up every day, and then, or not every day, every week. And then David and I, we do our office hour show every Thursday, Soul of Business office hours. So yeah, I'm pretty busy. I'm around, and
no such thing as busy, only active, right, Blaine?
Perfect. Thank you. I'm pretty active.
There we go. He's a very active man, ladies and gentlemen. So you can reach out to him, blainebartlett.com, or of course, I believe it's bbartlett@avatar-resources.com if you would like to reach out to him via email. And of course, for everybody tuning into today's training, we would also like to close things out by inviting you, but not obligating you, to come and join us in person, as we are on the road over 200 cities every single year, adding on what we call a car wash in each and every one of those cities, which is the addition of a community meetup, holding court, or even one of our VIP dinners for charity. So come and join us next week, as we are going to be in Louisville, Kentucky, with the Hall of Fame football coach Nick Saban and the CEO of Craft Champions, Mr. Matt Ebert, adding on a car wash there in Louisville. Then from Kentucky over to Kalamazoo, Michigan, with the Ziegler Auto Group, adding on a car wash in Kalamazoo. Then from Kalamazoo over to San Diego for another edition of our community meetup series. Then over to Viva Las Vegas for Office Hours TV show season number 11, plus a car wash in Las Vegas. Then over to Chicago for another stop on the car wash tour, before we round things out in Newport Beach, California for the June edition of our Mastermind series, adding on a car wash once again there. And as we look at the schedule for the rest of the summer, we have everything from NBA Summer League to the MLB All-Star Game and Home Run Derby. We got Fanatics Fest in New York City. We got SoFi Stadium Masterminds in Los Angeles. We got Inter CF Miami Soccer with Messi, the legend, the GOAT, in Miami, Florida. And then even going over across the pond to London for a mastermind and VIP dinner experience. I know that whether it's the extended calendar or just the next 10 to 12 days, it is way too much to keep up with, which is intentional. And that's why we created our text community, to be repetitive and annoying and remind you on where we're going to be by inviting but not obligating you. So if you'd like to join us in person and get these reminders, just text us at area code 949. Next 3 digits are 298. Last 4 digits are 2905. And I know Gigi will make sure to put that in the room chat. Remind everybody with our jingle as we close these things out here. Of course, we're going to be back live tomorrow with the Double B. That's Blaine Bartlett for another edition of Office Hours. And we'll be back here in the Breakfast with Champions, let alone online as we multicast on all platforms this Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another edition of David's Free Friday trainings. But in the meantime, I want to use the final reminder to remind you to be more interested than interesting and to be kind. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Thank you so much for everybody. Gigi, hit it and close us out.
Hey! 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 Oh, hey! Wanna know where David's gonna be? Get invites, updates, and community. When he's in your city, you won't miss a thing. Just text the number, let your phone ring, 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 ring. 949-292-905. That's 949-292-905. Events, connection, and opportunity, all in one place. Come join the community. So text it now, don't wait in line. 949-292-905. That's 949-292-905.
They discovered it, they read it, and they applied it. It's the golden thread that connects the titans of the self-development industry, the source that spawned millions of millionaires, the original blueprint to success.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic. A classic.
And I love Think and Grow Rich. I love it. It's right here. I mean, it's one of my favorite books of all time.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
This material is what changed my life. This is the material I study every day. From being an immigrant woman, coming from poverty, and really coming to America and literally achieving the American dream. I can't even tell you how grateful I am for this man, for what he did for me and my family.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
People don't realize is that when we let our ego get in our way, ego is the loss, the fear of loss. So need to be right, the need to be offended, the need to be hurt, fearful. When that trajectory changes, what happens is you continually go the wrong way. So my job as a coach is to say, let's get into the enjoyment of the direct pursuit of my potential. Right? And so when the light went on, it was not about the potential of making money and being an entrepreneur, which is one of my specialties. And I said to him, look, this is an opportunity now to show how great you really are. We can't let the outside voices, right, determine our success. The happiness that we have comes within. Why are you going to give that control to somebody else?
Thoughts become things. And I always wonder, why did no one teach us this? Why did we not learn this in school? Why did we not learn this from our families? If you make your study a priority, your life will change.
And I came up with 4 really valuable things that I took stock in. And the first one was gratitude. Simple gratitude. Although I grew up with nothing, I was always grateful. Throughout the whole process of consistently, persistently pursuing my potential, I was grateful. It made my past better, my present brighter, and my future even brighter than that. In fact, I tell people all the time, if you want to change your life, change your employee's life, your family life, it's very simple. 2 words, say thank you.